Okay, so now the next step is we're going to start filling in this function here, start GitHub oauth. And if we look to our notes when we're learning about it, create a config struct is the first thing at the top of the notes. Is this the first thing we're going to actually do? Yes! Yep. I nailed it!
Yep. All right. So going back over to the Go doc, we need to fill in this config struct. So first, I'm just going to import this package. So we've got it. And I'm just going to create a package level variable GitHub oauth config. oauth2.config. And it needs to be a pointer because all the functions are pointers. So I need this to be the address of an oauth2 config.
So just to clarify on that, a question that comes up for me, and you're doing Go modules stuff, tidy.
Yeah.
You said it needs to be a pointer, but I think Go, if you have a type that is not a pointer and your methods are pointers, Go will automatically implicitly convert, and so you have access to those methods.
That was the other way around. If you've got a pointer, you can call non-pointer receivers.
Oh, really?
Not the.
It's not that way?
Yeah, I think.
All right, so that's something I gotta look up. But you're probably right. So what's your level of confidence on that? 99%?
Somewhere 90-ish.
Somewhere in the high. Okay, so never mind. Scratch that. So if you have a pointer, it'll automatically dereference so that it'll implement methods that aren't the pointer type.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I need the client ID and client secret. So client ID is go over to here to the settings. GitHub provided that to me when I signed up. And this is just a string, not a. And client secret, GitHub also provided that to me. Oops. Some websites will have very different IDs and secrets. Looks like GitHub's just using some hex strings. We also need the endpoint. So for GitHub, I can just do this. Endpoint is github.endpoint. There we go. So in github.endpoint, if I go looking down there, is just this struct here with the auth URL and the token URL. And these two URLs, if I go to my OAuth application settings and I go to the OAuth documentation in a new tab, and it redirects, and they explain how to do stuff. There's the authorize. The very first thing is here's the auth URL is they put that as the first thing there, and then in the exchange there, that's the exact same as the token URL. So they're in their documentation. So if you're going on some website that doesn't have the an endpoints pre-made, just have to look up where do you redirect the user to, and where do you go to exchange your token.
And here it's auth URL, token URL.
Yep.
Okay, so auth is where you redirect it to, and tokens where you exchange your token.
Yep. Okay. So like I said, most of them are pre-made, so you should be good for just about any website you'd usually go to.
CERN. That's amazing.
All right, so config. Looking through this documentation too, GitHub says the redirect URI is optional, so I don't actually need to fill in that part of the struct. And I don't need any particular scopes, so that can be left empty as well. So this is my my config.
So go back to that documentation there. So redirect the other one. Redirect URLs, URL to redirect users going through the auth flow after the resource owner's URL.
So GitHub calls it optional because you got it here.
Oh, got it. And then scope specifies optional requested permissions.
Yep.
And those were all those things you looked at where it was. I don't know if I've made them in notes.
So yeah, for GitHub, it's per website. So GitHub's got a ton of different possible scopes.
What permissions you want to have the user? I give this person the right to post tweets on my behalf.
Yes. So for most login purposes, you just need the publicly available information or no scopes.
Got it.
So this is all I need for a GitHub OAuth. So here's my config. So if I redirect so the user clicks the button, they post to this GitHub endpoint. I can use this config, GitHub OAuth config dot auth code URL, and it needs some state. So I need to give some state to this, and I will redirect the user to this point. So redirect URL is that. So I need to create a state first. So I'm just going to create for lack of a database, I'm just going to have a map variable for GitHub logins. Login attempts is a map from string. I don't actually need a whole thing. So if you've got some process for your GitHub login attempts, then you would need to create some database. For my purposes, I'm just going to put 4 zeros as your state always, because I'm not actually going to use it, and then I'll just check when I get back. I'm getting back that state.
Yeah, because you're one person.
Yeah.
But if this is a live example, you would create that database.
You just have some unique ID there, so I could throw in a UUID or something, and then I could check that it's the same. It matches when it comes back.
And then that UUID would be associated with what? It's
with
just
this particular login attempt.
Okay. All right.
So once I got the redirect URL, http.redirect the user to that URL.
What's that look like? Like if it's associated with an email address, I could picture that. But if it's associated like a UUID associated with this login attempt.
So usually you'd have the you'd have the ID of the login attempt and like an expiration time where you're not going to accept this particular login attempt anymore after like an hour or something. And then code hp.statusc other. So this is all you need for the starting the GitHub OAuth. Redirect the user to the value of GitHub OAuth config auth code URL. And now I could actually run this. So I don't have the when it comes back to me yet, so I couldn't. So it's not the process is not complete, but I can at least see if I go to the website. I've got the login with GitHub, and if I click on that, it brings me to GitHub. Authorize web authentication example. Web author example by me, because I'm the one who created it, wants to access your account. Public data only. Authorize. So since I'm already logged in, it brings me straight here. If I wasn't logged in on GitHub, it would bring me to the GitHub login page before going to this page. And then this button will redirect me back to my the localhost 8080 with all the permissions approved. So if I click that, see I'm now at the OAuth receive endpoint, and it's got a code and a state in the query parameters. So the state is that state that I had put in originally, the 0000, and the code is what my backend needs to use in order to get the actual token. So that'll be the next video.
All right. So what do we call this video? Initial.
Start OAuth process.
I like it. Starting the OAuth process. I'm going to add the. Cool.
This is V0340. Push tags. All right.
See you in the next video.